Good Saturday night. It is February the 10th, 2018. Welcome to this week's weekly weather briefing, where there is some wintry weather concerns going into the overnight hours. And on Sunday, a warming trend does begin, as many of you know, going into the upcoming week. Rain chances do begin to ramp up with that warm weather, and a colder air mass begins to return by next weekend. Here's a look at the chances for some wintry precipitation on your Sunday. Freezing rain or freezing drizzle is possible on Sunday morning, roughly from around 6 a.m. to 11 a.m., and there could be some drizzle outside of that time zone, but for the most part, that is my area of most concern. The second area of wintry precipitation might develop on Sunday evening, and this is possible anywhere between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. on your Sunday evening, and this could also cause some problems, probably more problems than the morning commute would be on Sunday for many of you churchgoers. We'll look at the Sunday forecast around 8 a.m. Notice that the radar right now would look like possibly this. This is just one model, so make sure that you're taking that into consideration. And notice that this pink line right here that you see my mouse going around is the freezing line. So this is barely crossing through portions of the purchase area, which means temperatures would be hovering right around the freezing mark, and we'll talk about what that can mean here in just a few minutes. But this is roughly what the radar might look like at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. And I think that the NAM is a little bit overdone with the amount of precipitation on radar at that time. But it is going to be so moist tomorrow that even if there is no rain showing up on radar, it might still be drizzling outside and still causing everything to be fairly wet. And some of that drizzle could be quite heavy, so it could actually be putting down some coats of ice on some of those elevated surfaces, and that's something that we need to watch out for. Sunday around 8 p.m., not 8 a.m., but 8 p.m., a second wave begins to develop, and this is what could bring additional impacts going into the evening hours. And notice that we're looking at some very light amounts of precipitation here on radar, possibly around that time. Once again, though, you see that that freezing line is just barely nudging into the area and only in certain parts of the purchase area. So that also means that not all of us will be seeing the potential for additional wintry precipitation tomorrow evening. Some of us could be just looking at plain old rain. The impacts, the amounts with this, I'm trying to not spend a whole lot of time on this because I'm not really wanting to hype it up like this is a big event, because it's not. Most of this is going to stay off to our north and west, at least the wintry precipitation part of it. Temperatures will be hovering around 32 degrees for most of the day on Sunday. During the afternoon hours, we will probably peak above freezing for a couple of hours, but that would be during our lull, or during the time that precipitation will not really be forming, and drizzle would probably not be around at that time either during the afternoon hours on Sunday. So with the temperatures on Sunday morning during that first round and during the second round Sunday evening being right around the freezing mark, it really doesn't make for any concern on our roadways. Even on the back roads and the secondary roads, I still don't think that they're going to even really see any impacts from this, and that's because the last event on Tuesday, temperatures were hovering right around 32 degrees, and they didn't really have any impacts on the roads until that temperature dropped into the lower 30s and into the middle and upper 20s, such as 27, 28, 29, even 30 degrees. Once we get into that little area, that's when we begin to see problems on the roadways. But with temperatures being around 32 degrees like they were when rain was falling, or the freezing rain was falling on Tuesday night and early Wednesday morning, it wasn't making for any impacts until a few hours later when the temperature finally dropped into the upper half of the 20s. That's when the problems began. So I don't think that we're going to be looking at temperatures dropping into the upper 20s as quick as they did after the precip left back on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. With this event, the precip will be moving out, and the temperatures will fall very slowly into the upper half of the 20s, giving those roadways some time to dry before it would actually cause any problems by Monday morning's commute. So no worries with this one as far as road impacts. Most of this would be on trees, power lines, grass, elevated objects. You get the idea. The purchase counties that might see the most icing from this event, anywhere from a glaze or a trace amount of ice to 0.08 of an inch, would be Ballard, McCracken, and Carlisle County. The purchase counties that see the least amount of icing would be from anywhere 0 to maybe 0.05 of an inch, and that's even hardly noticeable, but stuff like sidewalks and things like that could definitely be slick from even that little amount of ice. Counties that could see that little amount would be Graves, Hickman, Fulton, Marshall, and Callaway. Area-wide, though, many will not even notice that it did anything, and that is even if it does. Temperatures are slowly dropping right now, and this is a concern to the forecast, of course, because if it continues to very slowly drop and doesn't actually go below freezing, then we don't look at any impacts at all during the day tomorrow. The warming trend begins on Wednesday and Thursday, where temperatures could exceed 60 degrees in many locations. That is because We have a southwestern United States cutoff low back into portions of the east central Pacific and the very southwest United States, such as California, Nevada, and New Mexico, and Arizona. Those kind of portions will see that cutoff low. And with the East Coast high pressure also in place at the surface, helps to spread well above average temperatures our way. Here's a look at what the anomaly map could look like for Thursday at 12 p.m. You notice well above normal temperatures across portions of the central and eastern United States. Can't have warm weather without rain at this time of the year. That moisture will begin to spread northward along with those warmer temperatures. By Wednesday and Thursday, warm advection showers are likely with that warmer weather, and a cold front will likely bring more organized precipitation going into the overnight hours on Thursday night. Here's a look at what the map might look like on Wednesday on 12 p.m. You can tell maybe just some light precipitation, those light scattered variety warm advection showers, really the only thing that we're looking at for a concern on Wednesday and Thursday. After that system moves out, after that cold front moves through on Thursday night, colder air might likely usher in going into the weekend. Most of the first half of the weekend, such as Friday and Saturday. Sunday, we begin to see possibly another warming trend ahead of another system, potentially a very strong storm system on the next week after that. So there is several systems to monitor. We told you February would be active, and it is so far. A bunch of little events have been coming through right now, but no matter what the strength is of each system, if you have multiple coming through almost every other day like we have, that's a very active pattern, and it just takes one big event, either with severe weather or wintry weather, to cause problems, and February is known to bring both of them. So this is something that we'll have to watch over the next couple of weeks. Right now, it's a little bit of a tough forecast on where that storm track sets up over the rest of the month of February. Of course, it will shift from week to week, but right now it does look like most of the activity is going to stay just to our north, which puts us on the warm side of most of these systems. So why there are still chances for wintry precipitation going into the next couple of weeks, most of this is going to probably be in the form of rain, and we could be looking at problems with possibly severe weather going into the second half of the month. So make sure and keep that in mind, that there is still possibilities that we see early season severe weather, because there is a pattern beginning to shape up where we possibly look at that storm track just to our north, and anytime that happens, it usually doesn't lead to very good outcomes across our portion of the country. So we'll watch it very closely, and as always, one storm system could go south of that storm track, and it could all be snow and ice, so we'll have to watch for that as well. A very tricky forecast, like I said, going into the next couple of weeks, but for this week, it's fairly quiet, except for tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. Besides that, we do at least see some warmer weather. Unfortunately, it is coming with some showers.